Good afternoon again. So with a slightly different hat on, as a member of the committee, we are asked every now and again to have speakers coming to see us. An organisation called CETA, who are a trade association representing waste management and recycling, wanted to offer a food contact training programme. And so I was hoping to have gone on that course to be able to come and say this is what's involved in that course. However, we've not yet linked that up. However, the subject of food contact we wanted to be able to cover with you. And there's a couple of things. So I'm doing a double-hander with Alistair from Earth Inks, who you saw a little bit earlier. But what I want to do is also have a bit of a canter through some information about background. I know somebody was asking a question there. So, well, you know, what's the context of, you know, how big is the market? What are the opportunities? So what I want to do in this session is have a very practical introduction to food contact, and then a practical solution, which hopefully sheep plants can take advantage of through Alistair's presentation. So to hopefully find it interesting. I will. Thank you. Right. Somebody, pallet company? Yes. You mentioned a company called Smithers Pyra. There's another company, so ourselves. So NOAA PRISM are asked to be able to undertake market research, and we do it for FEFCO, we do it for ICA, we do it for ECMAR. People familiar with FEFCO? Yeah, okay, ICA, one stage up. We've just done a report, and in that report was a section on plastics and food contact linked with that. So I'll come back to that. Yes, good. So what I want to talk about, a quick canter through the first two, and hopefully it's complementary with Paul's presentation. So you can read all that. And I think what Paul is saying in that first line, actually paper supply is able to accommodate all requirements, and actually there's this £20 drop to indicate that there's a bit of an excess in capacity. Paul talked about recycled capacity. There was a question about, sorry David, David was mentioning about craft, you know, amongst all that extra capacity that's coming on board. Paul gave an answer and gave you some more details. But over the last few, for those people that have been to the last few conferences, you know that there's been at least 4 mills that have been coming on board with recycled capacity. The other thing is that in Europe we are, unique's not the right word, but we're unusual for pioneering the amount of recycled materials. We're a hugely recycled paper corrugated industry in Europe, and so I can attest for that. So, and a lot of customers, and there's a few people in this room I've spoken to, said, yeah, actually a lot of our customers in the recent price increases over the last couple of years have shifted quite a lot of volume towards test materials. So new test mills and recycled mills coming on board have helped to accommodate the demand that the industry has had. Large growth in the industry. And in terms of stocks, there's some statistics that are available. You can see that stocks are slightly higher, but not enormously higher in paper, just to cope with that growth. These slides are available, so you can get the details of that. This is the UK month on month. I was saying that 2017 growth in the UK 3%. Thank goodness for Brexit, because it was from that very vote that corrugated demand doubled. And we've been plotting the statistics ever since then, and that's so 3% in 2017, 3% the year before that. Growth last year was 2%. About, you can see it here. A lot of people go, oh my lord, it's the corrugated demand's dropped versus last year. We're all doomed. Back to the Menzies, we're all doomed from Dad's Army. That seemed to adjust itself in the month of October. And if you can see, actually the month of October is rocketed up there. So this is the demand in the UK that we're having on corrugated. So hopefully useful for that. as I said, 2%. 2019 start positively if you listen to the how's the British economy doing, how's it doing versus, say, other parts of the world, other parts of Europe. Talking to people in the room, I think January's a bit of a weird month. I mean, I think that's quoting a number of people in the room, so it's a bit uncertain, and maybe there's an element of Brexit in that, but generally people have been busy. I put this slide up in October, where the general share price is dropping. Anybody who's got shares in Smurfit or DS Smith will know that they were dropping like a stone and continued to drop like a stone until about December. In January, thank goodness, they've started to rise up. Why is that? Has it got anything to do with the price of paper? Maybe, maybe not. It's usually an indicator that the city is a bit worried about organisations, and I think they're probably a bit worried about the price of paper, and what Paul has indicated is there's at least a £20 reduction that's occurred in the month of January. So are prices softening? Possibly. And there's capacity. I put this slide up last time in October, and all I wanted to concentrate on is, hence the relevance of this, people converting to plastic. And so in this particular part, and then hand over to Alistair, I just wanted to discuss the subject of food contact and the opportunity for corrugated. Am I right? Yes, good, okay. So, as I say, we have a lot of dialogue with FEFCO. I'm asked to speak at FEFCO, I'm asked to speak at ICA, I'm asked to speak at ECMA. So I get to speak to a lot of people who deal with brand owners and retailers. And the messages that I've been getting for the last year and a half has been, gosh, we've got loads of projects to convert plastics. In this report, we spoke to a lot of brand owners and retailers over the last few months at the end of 2018, and they said, gosh, we've got an awful lot of dialogue with corrugated companies and carton companies about plastics and converting people to plastics. I said, that's great, that's really good. And what have you converted to corrugated or to carton? They said, not a lot. And that appears to be the thing. There's a huge amount of interest, but how do they move on? And there's a quote I've got here, which I think is quite a useful one to give an idea of the issue, the problem. So a guy called Mike Coop, who's the CEO of Jane Sainsbury, who's very well regarded around Europe and obviously well regarded in the UK, and he said, many of our suppliers have a lot of embedded capital in machinery that they have invested in over the decades. To change the substrate of plastic packaging will require a huge amount of investment over time. It could take decades. So I'm very enthusiastic about the opportunity for corrugated, generally. I'm very enthusiastic about the opportunity for plastics, but I don't want people to go, oh, it's okay. You know, if it gets a bit quiet with Brexit, we'll just convert everybody over to from plastic to corrugated. It's not going to happen. So what are the opportunities? This is one. So are people going to be able to move away from RPCs, returnable plastic containers, and use corrugated? They're doing it at the moment. There's a bit of an issue, and I'd be interested if anybody's got any feedback. I hear that there is this particular company may well be choosing to move to RPCs, returnable plastic containers, and you might say, oh gosh, that's against the market trend, isn't it? But actually RPCs, closed-loop systems, perhaps there is a different type of argument, a different type of discussion. This company's Lidl have a belief that RPCs will save will save them 50% of what they spend on corrugated. That's what they say. So that's RPCs. So there's an opportunity. I'd call it a low-hanging fruit opportunity, because it's a wonderful item to be able to promote the customer's requirement. There's something like 50 standard formats of this in Europe, and RPCs, I guess there's, I don't know, 2. So this accommodates fruit and vegetable much better. So got good opportunity for us. The second one, are people familiar with what's happened with pizzas? Are people familiar with what's happened with chilled pizzas?
Yes.
Good-o. Are people familiar with what's happened with chilled pizzas and the thing that goes inside this box?
Yes.
Good-o. So that's one person out of 90, was it? Something like that. So this, has anybody seen this? Okay, what's special about this? It's not polystyrene. That's a great answer, that's true. What else? Yes, absolutely. So that's got a coating on it. It's got a grease-proof coating on it. Well, actually, the truth is it hasn't. About half of these have a special barrier coating on them. And it's a missed opportunity to really make the point that it should have a special barrier coating on there. But there is a new there's a new niche in our market developed because this product here can go food contact, can accommodate food, and you could put a pizza on there and that pizza would be handled properly as long as it's coated and it's craft paper. So this is an opportunity. There are a number of companies who've got these systems in place, so they know how to get the coated paper, they know how to convert it, they know how to handle it through their factory, and you need to have shrink films and you need to have really smart materials handling systems in place to be able to handle it. But that's a new market for corrugated. In fact, that's a tangible, it's available. What's the further opportunities for us? There's a few people who've got a lot of companies in this room will have an industrial niche to your market. And this fella here, and I'll show you in a second, this is the bad boy, EPS, it was mentioned earlier. It's the bad boy in the market. This here, the word carcinogenic was being mentioned earlier, and Andy Ely was mentioning it. Understanding that this is, I was talking to somebody, the chemical content and the chemical aspect of this is highly dubious and carcinogenic potentially in its use. So there's a golden opportunity for us in our industry. Those are things that are available to us, I would say, as sheet plants. This here is coming out and being used by food packaging companies. It's for sandwiches, it's for niche sandwiches, but inside here there is a coated layer and then there's a coated window made out of corrugated. This is being described as corrugated. A company called Huhtamaki make a lot of these. Huhtamaki make a lot of these as well. So, and that is coated paper. So coated seems to be the area of opportunity for us. The biggest opportunity for us has to be these. And at the moment, I don't think anybody in this room would go, oh yeah, I could make the alternative to that. These are two really hard nuts to tackle, but the markets are massive. So this one here, this is ready meals. Do people want to have black plastic? I said about the organisation CETA, and they will teach us a lot more about this, but the handling of black products, if anybody's been to a waste, they've got MRFs, aren't they? Anybody's been to a MRF, myself and my team have been to a MRF, black. The people in the recycling centre say that we hate it, we can't see it. So actually it's a real problem for us to be able to handle it. So there's an opportunity here. I don't think it's for this room, but I think the opportunity is going to cascade its way down, so look out for it. That's ready meals. The other area is this one here, which is chickens, whole chickens. And this fella here, this is plastic, what's going to happen to it? So, these are the bad boys in the industry. What is our opportunity in here? So, I think I've indicated there about pizza and cake could be the opportunity. Someone was mentioning about print. Jamie was mentioning about print and e-commerce. Anybody who've looked and seen that Tide, P&G, Procter & Gamble have changed Tide over to a print. And it's an e-commerce printed pack that gets posted. They have reduced the amount of water content in liquid detergent in order for this pack to be able to go through the post, and that is a new market being created. So you have digital print that helps new markets being created, and you've got people like P&G who are pioneering new ways of using packaging. It's a golden opportunity for some of us. And then chilled ready meals, as I say, it's the harder nut to crack there. Here we are. I know that Andy's going to talk a little bit about legislation in his presentation, but I just wanted to give this. This is the latest EU legislation that hasn't yet been passed, but it looks like a golden opportunity for this bit here. This aspect to do with EPS and other plastics. So there's legislation coming that's going to encourage the opportunity for us. We should be aware of it, and as I say, I think the CETA training would be good, and I think Alistair's got some very specific things to do to talk about with regard to coatings and opportunities there.